Jack Ma is a leading world-famous billionaire entrepreneur from China. He owns the Alibaba Group, which is China's largest e-commerce company. It's kind of like the Chinese equivalent of Amazon. Jack Ma is the 20th richest man in the world, with a net worth of about $58 billion. In other words, he holds a lot of wealth and influence in China and the world. But recently, no one has heard from him. It's as if he's gone missing. Did he flee the country and is now living a secret life? Was he taken, or did he just disappear from the public eye? Why did Jack Ma suddenly disappear? Let's find out more. Rags to riches. Before we answer those questions, let's have a look at how Jack Ma rose to fame and fortune. Here's one interesting thing about him. Ma was never born to a rich family. He had a much more modest upbringing in his hometown of Hangzhou. His family never spoke a word of English. He had to learn it the hard way by talking to English speakers at the Hangzhou International Hotel. When Ma was still young, he would go to the hotel often just to talk to the guests and learn English along the way. One more thing, Ma was not the best educated person in China. He always tells the story of how he failed his university entrance exams, not once, not twice. Career-wise, he was also not the pinnacle of success. Ma loves telling people about how he was rejected from nearly every job he applied for. He even wanted to work for KFC, but he didn't get that job either. Then he decided to start a retail business. In 1999, in his hometown of Hangzhou, Ma and his team of 18 people co-founded Alibaba with a starting capital of $60,000. That was his first and greatest success. 2 decades later, Alibaba is still going strong. It's now one of the world's largest retail and e-commerce companies. From a humble team of 19 people when it was founded, Alibaba now employs over 100,000. Love for theatricality. Jack Ma is by no means a silent success. He's the kind of guy who loves being under the spotlight. He's very outspoken and is always within the public sights. He is always in his company's events, and he even does over-the-top acts like a Michael Jackson-themed dance in one of Alibaba's anniversary parties. Ma even starred in his own kung fu film called Gong Zhu Dao. Also, he created a TV show called Africa's Business Heroes, which is like an African version of Shark Tank, and he serves as a judge on the show. Jack Ma's flamboyant, showy personality means that he's always out there for everyone to see, but now he isn't. Missing Ma. Under mysterious circumstances, Jack Ma, as of now, is nowhere to be found. He even failed to show up in the season finale of African Business Heroes. That's despite Ma mentioning in an earlier press release that he's looking forward to meeting the contestants. There's no news about what he's doing or where he is. Did he suddenly lay low? Is he on hiatus? Or is there something fishy going on? People have lots of speculations about what happened to the Chinese billionaire. Some say that the Chinese government kidnapped him. Some say they sent him to jail. And some even fear the worst, that Jack Ma may be dead. Before anyone jumps into conclusions, though, let's all take note of the fact that no one knows exactly what's going on with him yet. Most people can only speculate, and there is no conclusive evidence at this time. One thing we can ask, though, is why? Why did Jack Ma suddenly go missing? Chinese controlling party. The Chinese Communist Party, or CCP for short, is notorious for its almost absolutely authoritarian style of leadership. In other words, they're control freaks. Very scary control freaks. They want to keep tabs on everything their citizens do, from how they do business to their individual lifestyles. Just last year, the government launched what's known as a social credit system, which gives each person a score based on how much of a good citizen they are. Thousands of CCTV cameras equipped with advanced facial recognition technology watch over the streets. They can identify individual citizens from a distance and watch their every move. If someone commits an offense, like littering, their social credit score goes down. People with low scores are stripped of certain privileges like access to high-speed trains and air travel. They can regain their lost points, though, but only through community service and giving donations to the government. The CCP exercises so much control over China that they would never allow anyone to be above them. They're actually afraid of billionaires like Jack Ma and their mega corporations because anyone with that kind of wealth can basically steer a country in any direction. In the Western world, billionaires have a lot of influence in government affairs, but in China, the CCP doesn't want that. For this reason, they seek to control everything and everyone in the country. The CCP also strictly monitors Chinese media. They actually have a propaganda department, and they censor any kind of information that goes against the CCP. With that, it's very hard to get reliable news reports from China on the whereabouts of Jack Ma. All we can get are state-approved, unconfirmed reports. So if the CCP did take him away, why did they do it? Here's one huge possibility. Communist critic. On October 24 of 2020, Jack Ma spoke at the Shanghai Financial Summit. In his speech, he criticized the Chinese government for how they regulated the country's financial industry. He said that the regulators are being unreasonable and are stifling innovation. Also, he mentioned that the regulatory system is like an old people's club. Of course, Chinese authorities did not take those remarks lightly. A few days after, on November 3, Chinese regulators halted the initial public offering of the Ant Group, Ma's fintech company. Ant Group was formerly known as Alipay, which is a well-known Chinese fintech giant. The IPO was supposed to push through on November 5, and it was expected to generate $37 billion. Had it been successful, Ant Group would have set the record for the world's biggest ever IPO. Reportedly, according to the Wall Street Journal, President Xi Jinping himself ordered the halt to the IPO after hearing Ma's speech. Later, on December 24, the Chinese government also put Alibaba under extensive investigation. The reason? Suspected monopolistic behavior. Strange that the Chinese government only now looked into Alibaba this deeply. As a consequence, Alibaba stock plummeted by $110 billion that day. As if that wasn't enough, the government then went after Tmall, a shopping website affiliated with Alibaba. Tmall was fined for alleged antitrust violations. Knowing the circumstances, we could say that these moves by the Chinese government are most probably linked to Ma's October 24 speech. And that's not all. After October 24, Jack Ma did not appear in any public event anymore. That's when he went missing. These events then led the internet to spread a lot of rumors on the whereabouts of Jack Ma. Where could Jack Ma be? Matthew Stoller, an economist and fellow at the Open Markets Institute, wrote this in his Twitter account. Chinese billionaire Jack Ma is missing after criticizing the Chinese government. Wow. This would be like the US government kidnapping Jeff Bezos or Mark Zuckerberg to teach them a lesson. Not likely for the US government to do such a thing, but for the CCP? It's very possible, knowing how controlling they can be. And they've done this before to a number of other entrepreneurs who spoke against them. Some examples include Wu Xiaohui, Ren Jinkang, and Guo Gancheng. They had similar stories. After making remarks against the CCP, they went missing and resurfaced with mysterious charges pressed against them. Was he able to leave China? That's not likely, according to economist Guy Bidong, who was a Chinese political prisoner for 8 years. He said no matter how powerful and rich he is, he wouldn't be able to escape from China. Guy also said that if Jack Ma did leave, it could only be because the CCP wanted him out of the country. No one has heard from Ma for 2 months now, and people are fearing the worst. If the Chinese government did abduct him, what could they have done to him? Again, there is no solid evidence to make a conclusion. We can only guess. Some news outlets like CNBC say that Ma is just laying low for now. Let's all hope that it's true.